The federal government just handed every law-abiding gun owner in America the biggest win in decades. And if you own a gun right now, your rights look completely different than they did just 1 year ago. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? Because what I'm about to break down could directly affect what you can legally buy, own, and carry starting today. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'm not going to let you miss this. Okay, let's get into it. Here's what most people don't know. While you were going about your normal life, something massive happened in Washington. On February 7, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order called Protecting Second Amendment Rights. Now, I know what you're thinking. Politicians sign papers all the time. Who cares, right? But this one is different. This one is not just talk. This one set off a chain reaction of real concrete changes that are affecting gun owners like you right now. And by the time this video is over, you are going to know exactly what changed, what it means for your wallet, what it means for your freedom, and what is still coming down the road. Let me start at the beginning. Here's what just happened. Trump walked into the White House on January 20th, 2025, and he made a promise. He said, no one would lay a finger on your firearms while he was in office. That's a big promise. And within 3 weeks, he started backing it up. He signed that executive order on February 7th. The order said one very powerful thing. It said the right to keep and bear arms must not be infringed. Then, it went further. It ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to look at every single gun-related action the Biden administration took from January 2021 all the way to January 2025. Every rule, every regulation, every agency action, every court case where the government was arguing against gun owners, every single one, and she had 30 days to report back with a plan to fix anything that crossed the line. Now, that is huge. Think about what that means. For 4 years, the previous administration added restriction after restriction. New rules on pistol braces, a zero-tolerance policy, shutting down gun dealers, the ghost gun rule, a whole White House office dedicated to reducing your gun rights, and Trump just told his attorney general, go find every one of those restrictions and tell me how to undo them. That is not a small thing. That is someone putting the engine in reverse. But here's the crazy part. The executive order was just the beginning. What came after it is what you really need to hear. Let me break this down into specific wins one by one so you can see exactly how this affects you. The first big win happened on April 7th, 2025. Trump repealed the Biden-era zero-tolerance policy for gun dealers. Here's why that matters. Under Biden, if a gun store made even a minor paperwork mistake, just one clerical error, they could lose their federal firearms license forever. Gone, done. No second chances. That policy scared thousands of small gun dealers and caused many of them to shut their doors. When local gun shops close, you lose the place where you buy your guns, get your background checks processed, and get your transfers done. Trump killed that policy. Gun dealers can now operate without the fear of being put out of business over a single mistake. The second win, and this one directly hits your wallet, came on July 4th, 2025. That is the perfect day for it, by the way. Trump signed a bill called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And buried inside that bill was something gun owners have wanted for over 90 years. The $200 tax stamp fee to register a silencer, a short-barreled rifle, or a short-barreled shotgun was eliminated. Gone. Done. Let me put that in context for you. That $200 fees was first put in place in 1934. 1934. That fee stayed in place for 91 straight years through every single president, Republican and Democrat alike, and Trump just got rid of it. If you have ever wanted a suppressor or short-barreled rifle, but the extra $200 plus, the year-long wait felt like too much. The financial barrier just got knocked down. Here is where it gets even more interesting. The third win came just a couple weeks later on July 17, 2025. The Trump administration dropped the government's appeal against a legal challenge to Biden's pistol brace rule. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. But here is what this means in plain English. Biden had issued a rule back in 2023 saying that if you put a stabilizing brace on an AR-style pistol, it becomes a short-barreled rifle under the law. And under the law, that would have made millions of gun owners into accidental felons overnight unless they registered their guns and paid the $200 fee. Millions of people were affected. The gun community fought it in court. Trump's administration looked at that court fight, said, "We agree with the gun owners," and dropped the government's defense of the rule. Enforcement of that pistol brace restriction is now effectively dead. If you found that helpful, here's what's coming next. My next video covers the 5 words you should always say when law enforcement asks if you're caring. That information could protect you from a situation that gets out of hand fast. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it. Now let's keep going because there are more wins to cover. The 4th thing that happened may actually be the most significant long-term victory. On December 4th, 2025, the Department of Justice opened a brand new office inside its Civil Rights Division. And this office has one job. Its job is to challenge gun control laws across the country. Think about that for a second. For decades, gun owners had to fund their own legal fights. The NRA, the Firearms Policy Coalition, private attorneys, all fighting on their own dime to defend your rights in court. Now the federal government itself is on your side in those fights. The DOJ has lawyers whose full-time job is to go after laws that infringe on the Second Amendment. That is a complete reversal from where things were just 2 years ago. The 5th win came on November 12th, 2025. Trump signed a bill that reversed an Obama-era policy that blocked gun sales to veterans who had a fiduciary managing their benefits. Here's the deal. If a veteran received help managing their VA benefits, they were sometimes flagged in the federal background check system as someone who could not buy a gun, even though they had never been convicted of anything, even though they were not a danger to anyone. They were being blocked from buying firearms just because they needed financial help. Trump reversed that. Veterans who served this country and then needed help managing their money are no longer automatically stripped of their gun rights because of it. Here is what most people are getting completely wrong about all of this. A lot of gun owners are celebrating these wins and then going back to sleep thinking everything is fixed. But that is not how this works. Here's the reality. These executive order changes and policy reversals are powerful, but some of them can be challenged in court. Some of them could be reversed by a future administration. And at the state level, some states are pushing back hard. Virginia just passed a semi-auto ban that is heading to the governor's desk right now. States like Michigan are fighting to pass constitutional carry. Oregon is still battling over ballot measure 114. Your rights at the federal level improved significantly, but your rights at the state level depend heavily on where you live. This is why staying informed is not optional. It is protection. Hey, here's a real number for you. About 73% of people watching this video right now are not subscribed to this channel. That means most of you are going to miss the next update when a state law changes, when a court ruling drops, or when a new federal rule takes effect. Do not be in that group. Join the tens of thousands of gun owners who get this information first. Hit subscribe right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it could save you a serious legal headache. Now let me tell you about the one thing coming down the pipeline that nobody is talking about enough. Senator Mike Lee introduced a bill in March of 2026 called the National Constitutional Carry Act. If that bill passes, here is what it would do. It would prohibit any state from putting criminal or civil penalties on U.S. citizens for carrying a firearm in public. In other words, national constitutional carry everywhere. No permit required, no training requirement imposed by the government everywhere you go in America. Now, will that bill pass? That is a political question, but the fact that it was introduced at the federal level tells you something important. The conversation about gun rights in this country has shifted dramatically. The momentum right now is with gun owners. Here is a hypothetical example to explain why all of this matters in real life. Imagine you are a gun owner living in a state that recently passed new restrictions on your pistol brace. You bought that brace legally. You followed all the rules. Then a new state law makes it a crime to own it without registering it. You do not know about the law. You get pulled over for a routine traffic stop. The officer sees the firearm. Now you're facing a criminal charge for something you bought legally and never intended to use unlawfully. That kind of scenario is exactly why knowing what is legal, what changed, and when it changed is not just interesting. It is survival for law-abiding gun owners. The changes at the federal level give you more protection than you had before. The DOJ is now actively working to push back on unconstitutional laws. The pistol brace rule is gone. The $200 NFA fee is gone for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. Gun dealers are staying open. Veterans have their rights back, and there is now an entire office in the federal government whose job is to fight for you in court. That is the reality of where we are right now. This information is moving fast, and honestly, the next video I have planned goes even deeper into the one federal law that every concealed carrier needs to know cold before they ever leave the house. Subscribe now because I cannot guarantee how long that video stays up once certain interest groups start paying attention to it. Here's your final takeaway from today. Trump's Second Amendment executive order signed on February 7, 2025 was not just a piece of paper. It was the starting gun for the most significant rollback of federal gun restrictions in modern American history. From the $200 NFA fee disappearing after 91 years to the pistol brace rule dying in court to the DOJ now actively fighting for your gun rights, the landscape for law-abiding gun owners is meaningfully better today than it was 2 years ago. But your job is to stay informed because rights you do not know about are rights you cannot defend. If you got real value from this video, hit that like button. Share this with a gun-owning friend who probably has no idea any of this happened. And subscribe right now if you want to stay ahead of every gun law change before it affects you. I put real research hours into every video on this channel, so you do not have to do it yourself. The least I can ask is that you hit that subscribe button and stay in the loop. Legal disclaimer: everything in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Gun laws vary by state and they change frequently. Always consult a licensed attorney in your state for advice about your specific situation.